Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I am here with my new friend, Sabrina Sarabella. We met a few months ago, actually, on a networking call. And I had shared recently that I sort of have jumped into and started learning about the whole world of subconscious reprogramming, which is there is so much to it beyond just what most people know. And I've worked with and connected with so many people in that space, but I had never met someone or connected with anyone that worked specifically around health and nutrition or weight loss or whatever you want to call it. And so when I met Sabrina, I was really excited to be able to connect with her and bring her expertise to my community because that's kind of the world that I live in also. So with that, I would love, Sabrina, if you could just share with us a little bit more about you and what you do, and we'll go from there.
Thanks for having me so much. Appreciate being here. So I'm Sabrina Sarabella, and I am a health and wellness expert. I am a clinical nutritionist. I have a master's in nutrition. I also am a certified personal trainer, group fitness instructor, Reiki master, certified hypnotherapist, EFT. So I've been lucky to be in wellness for over 20 years. So I've kind of accumulated a lot of things. I've worked with a lot of people over my years. So I'm lucky to say like this is my full-time career. It's been for a very, very long time. Helps many, many people, change their habits, get healthier. So I'm super passionate about that and love what I do. So a couple of things that I do is that as a nutritionist, help work with different people. I specialize mostly in women, but I can work with anybody. A lot of hormonal stuff, some of the perimenopause stuff going on, cortisol issues, those sorts of things that we kind of deal with as we get older, especially as women having children, all those sorts of things. Our hormones kind of go haywire. So I like to uncover those things. I like to talk a little bit about, weight loss resistance and seeing how to help people deal with those things. But what I've done this for, again, like over 20 years. And what I've always find is that like I can give anyone the best program, the best like coaching and those sorts of things and give you all the tools that you need, but a lot of people were like, I just can't do it. I'm not consistent or I fail all the time. And so I started to uncover like, okay, why are we inconsistent? Why can't we stick to our goals? What's holding us back? What are our blocks? And so I did started doing Reiki about 10 years ago, Reiki master, and then started to kind of get into a little bit of hypnotherapy about, same thing around that time and subconscious reprogramming, kind of uncovering what is really going on. So a lot of different things, right? So we operate from our subconscious mind, which is the mind that was kind of like running the show, which is really what our 0 to 7-year-old has all these thoughts and patterns that we have. So like thinking about it, like our 7-year-old or 5-year-old is running the show. If you have children already and thinking like they're actually like running my show as a 40-year-old or 30-year-old woman, it's true, right? Because we start to get all these things. So think about it. Think, and I talked about this before, dealing with children, you could remember back your mom saying like, "Don't eat that," or "Is your eat everything on your plate," or anything to do with that, and that kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life, right? So you're like, "Oh, I can't waste anything," or and you don't even know why you're doing the things you do, and then once you kind of get into this work, you're like, "Oh, I remember my teacher in 7th grade said this to me, and that's why I always feel like not good enough," or whatever the thing is. We always have some story. So it's really exciting for me to help you with nutrition and exercise and wellness, but also to kind of get back down to the root cause of why we're doing the certain things that we're doing, and then to actually able to break through those blocks and really see changes in your life.
I love that so much, and I have so many things to say. I'm going to try to keep them short because I don't want to spend too much time. But it's really interesting that you touched on the idea of like just our mindset and things, and you can try a million different programs or work with a million different trainers or be inspired by certain people on social media, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the mindset right, both forefront of mind and subconsciously, then those are going to often be barriers for you. And I think some people figure out how to move through that, but most people can't, just because of like what you shared. And I coach women. And first of all, I love that you touched on the menopause and perimenopause and all of that, because I'm 42 and most of the people that I work with are in that general stage of life, give or take a few years. But I coached women for a long time. And a couple years ago, I created a different program from scratch. And I was walking through people through it. And I had this epiphany that even though what I was teaching was great and rooted in, whole food nutrition and gut health and all of these things, the barriers that my clients were experiencing were the same as they were when I was sort of working with a different program. And I had this aha moment of like, it's not, and it's ultimately why I pivoted into doing what I do with working with children and families, is because most of us don't need another program or another trainer. We have to unwind all of the things like, I grew up reading Self magazine and 17 magazine, and those things are ingrained in my brain around what is healthy and what isn't. And so that's why like I'm just so excited about what you do, because I also I love my clients and I love moms, but we carry so much mom guilt, and we think that there's something inherently wrong with us. Like, I'm just not disciplined, or, I'm not the type of person that I even struggle with. I always say, like, oh, I'm not someone who can count. But really, at the end of the day, like count macros or any of that stuff. If I really wanted to, I could. So, anyways, I resonate with that so much. And I wish more women understood that achieving their health goals has so much more to do with what's going on up in their head than it does the macros that they're counting, the food that they're eating. And I'm sure you and I like can support people and say this is what you should do and this is what you can do, but ultimately it's not going to matter. So I just love what you're doing, and can like I have just could relate to it so much.
And I find like again, you said the women you work with are usually like over 35 and mothers and stuff like that. And I find like that age group, like shit just comes up, right? We're kind
Yes.
of like it's like we've kind of suppressed it, we've done our thing, and then you're like, oh, now I have to deal with all this stuff. Like, why am I having these thoughts? Or why am I doing these certain things? And it's a really great time to kind of sit back and we say like reprogram or go look at those things, uncover the onions of what we have going on so that we're really able to like live our next part of our life like in this amazing space that we're kind of free of the traumas we've had or the limiting beliefs that we've had all these years and kind of move forward on them.
Yeah, and I think and naturally and physiologically, we're at an age where what we were doing before when it comes to to transformation and weight loss might not be working. And so I see so many women, and even in my close circle of friends, killing themselves at the gym and like, trying every different thing. And part of it, there's an underlying thing that I worry about, which is just chasing this physical result, and having that be attached to their worth. But also, again, it's like it just goes so much more beyond that. And so when you touched on that specific age range, there's so many things at bay there. Like you said, things that come up, our hormones are changing. And so it all just kind of comes to a head. And so this is such good timing for me and for my clients. So I love that.
And also, it's important too, if your mom's working with kids, you have to also make sure that you are not right. You're still going to obviously affect them in some way, but like, giving them, make sure you have good body image, right? They're looking at you or, not saying like, I'm counting calories or whoever, like our parents probably did with us. Like they were always on a diet, those sorts of things. And those things stick in our heads. So, like, uncovering your stuff and then trying to make sure you're not affecting your child with the things you say either.
100%. I remember my mom struggled with her weight for a long time, which now I look back and realize it was likely due to cortisol levels, stress, my parents' divorce, all of that kind of stuff. Like I can pinpoint that. But I remember in high school, she was doing like the cabbage diet.
Uh,
And I did it with her,
yeah.
and I was in high school and I played field hockey. Like I should not have been doing the cabbage diet, but she didn't know any better. But yeah, same. And my husband grew up with like the clean plate club. And so then he's Italian. So for him, it's food, eating is love, right? So he just wants them to be nourished and whatnot. But then I'm like on the other side of like, just stop when you're full. And so, it's like we play into all of this stuff, but it's so true. And I just don't think people understand how, ingrained it is. And again, going back to like why I do what I do, and why for me, I focus so much on the gut brain connection and like nutrition brain connection, because we're seeing such a rise in mental health issues in young people. And really like showing people, especially because we're also dealing with, this processed foods that are at an all-time high with, all that stuff. And so it's just, it really just having the combination of the education of what you're eating and how that affects your body with like what you said, what you do in terms of getting down to the root of things. Sounds like it's just the perfect formula.
Yeah, totally. It's great. It's just like, again, it's just that connection of like everything kind of goes together. It's like the missing piece I think a lot of us have, are looking for.
Yeah. And now quickly, because you're going to give us a demonstration on tapping, which I've been very familiar with. I mean, in terms of like, I know what it is, but I've never actually practiced it myself, even though I know so many people that do it. But just quickly, I'm curious and you sort of touched on it at the beginning, but what are the things that you find like most of your clients are coming to you or are uncovering when they're doing like the subconscious work?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like consistency, right? Like I hear that a lot. Like I can't stay consistent on my habits. Fitting into a life, not have enough time or not putting
Mm.
themselves first. I think is it's not we always have enough time, right? It's
Yeah.
just like what are our priorities? So I think as women, we never put ourselves first. As mothers, we never put ourselves first. So that is like a big thing, and like taking care of ourselves is super important. So that's one thing I really very you want to make people really realize that they have to put themselves first. And I think a lot of it is like unhealed trauma or just like things we've had from our past that turn into disease or gut issues. Like so much gut issues, autoimmune issues, right? So that turns into a lot of thyroid stuff, all those sorts of things. So we can't, if we keep covering emotions down and not letting them go, then they turn into some kind of disease in our body.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a combination of all those things, like a lot of the consistency thing and sticking to our habits and making it's a lifestyle, right? It's not like we have like this finish line. It's
Yeah.
that I think that like as we age, we start to like, I don't care how I look in that bathing suit. It's more of like, am I going to prevent from diabetes or heart
Yeah.
disease or those sorts of things, or have my parents passed away or however it is like those things become more important and your why becomes stronger. I want to be here to see my grandchildren. I want to be able to play with them, sorts of things. And we kind of, yeah, we're all a little vain. I'm very vain too myself, but it's like you have that. But I think the stronger why is like the health reasons behind it.
Yeah. And those are you like you said, you never arrive. And so in a positive way, those are something that you'll always work on. And not attaching your results just to the physical transformation gives you so many other things. And I'm all about that. I always tell my kids all the time, like, I'm gonna live to be at least 100, and then it's like, but you want to be healthy. So
Want to be healthy doing it. Yeah. And I think
yeah.
yeah, like making it a part, like I'm one of I truly love to exercise. Like it's part of my day all the time. I know I'm not many people are like that, but it's like trying to figure out things that like make you happy to do it every day, right? Do you like to walk? Do you like to dance? Whatever it is, you like to, make vegetables every day and fitting those into your lifestyle so that it's easy. It's like you're not thinking about it. You take out the thinking out of it and it's just like common sense, right? It's like
Yeah.
a habit for you.
Yeah, and I think if you tune into and same with food, if you tune into and this is what I always talk about with nutrition is like really tuning into how it makes you feel, it's not so hard to make the decisions, right? Like I love junk food just like everybody else. But it's easy for me to make that decision more often than not because I know the result if I eat it, how I'm going to feel. And so same with exercise when we're so tied to like if you're only focusing on is this changing the way my body looks and not the endorphin boost after or the community aspect. Like I'm a group class girl, so I love that community and all of that. So just really having those layers to it. So
Yeah.
love that. All right. So talk to us about tapping.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different protocols we can do for subconscious reprogramming. And one easy one is tapping or EFT, if you've probably heard it. And what it does is it's really just tapping on different meridians in our body so we can reprogram our thoughts, right? It kind of comes with where we're the special place for tapping and what we're saying out loud or to ourselves reprograms us. So that's one thing to do. I'm also going to give you a hypnosis, give you a download free hypnosis so you can listen to that too. So again, there's many different ways that we can reprogram our subconscious, and this is one way. I think this one's super easy. You can do it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is we're going to focus on consistency to our health, to healthy habits. We're going to go through it. So what we do is we go through 2 rounds of the thought we're having. So just to be simple is like I'm feeling I'm having trouble staying consistent with my goals, right? And then we say that a couple of times, and then we kind of go through different points. So our first one is going to be what we call our karate chop point. What you're going to do is like, I'd like to say like, you're just tapping on something or like playing the piano, or just, you can tap both all, or just kind of like that. So you're doing that way. So our first one is what we call a karate chop. I'll go through this. And then we go through eyebrow points. So above our eyebrows, same thing, tapping right here. And then we move over to the side of our eyes, just on the side of our stuff, like our temples. Then we go to under the eyes, we tap here. And then we go under the nose. So just tapping under the nose, under the chin, collarbone, just tap here. And then under the arms, we're kind of doing like right under our armpit. And then we go through that a few cycles of saying, and when we say different phrases. So we ready to start?
Yeah. Do you want me to do it with you?
Oh, you can do it with me.
Okay.
So anyone's listening, you can say it out loud or you can say it to yourself. You don't need to, either way is totally fine. So we're going to start with our karate chop point first. So even though staying consistent with my health goals feel challenging at times, I deeply and completely love myself. Even though I struggle with consistency around my health goals, I choose to honor my journey and commit to positive changes. Even though I sometimes find it hard to stay consistent with my health goals, I acknowledge my efforts and choose to cultivate patience and persistence. All right, now we're going to move here. So again, you're saying it to yourself after I say it. Eyebrows. Sometimes staying consistent feels overwhelming. Side of the eyes. I want to make healthier choices, but I struggle to stay on track. Under the eyes. It's frustrating when I lose motivation or give in to old habits. Under the nose. I feel disappointed when I don't meet my own expectations. Under the chin. But I understand that change takes time and effort. Collarbone. I choose to release any guilt or shame around my past choices. Underarms. I am worthy of forgiveness and compassion. Take a deep breath in, check in with yourself, seeing how you're feeling. All right, we're gonna go try 2 more rounds here. All right, we're gonna go now positive statements for here. Same thing, eyebrow points. I recognize that consistency is key to reaching my health goals. Side of the eye. I am capable of making small, sustainable changes each day. Under the eyes. I choose to focus on progress, not perfection. Under the nose. I release the need for instant results and embrace the journey. Chin. I trust in the ability to stay committed to my health. Collarbone. I am resilient and determined to prioritize my well-being. Under the arm. I celebrate every step I take towards a healthier lifestyle. Take a deep breath in. Check in, see how you're feeling. Just try one more round here. Eyebrows. I deserve to feel vibrant and energized every day. Side of the eyes. I honor my body by nourishing it with wholesome foods and regular exercise. Under the eyes. I release any fears or doubts that hold me back from achieving my health goals. Under the nose. I am grateful for the opportunity to prioritize self-care and wellness. Chin. I choose to surround myself with positive influences that support my journey. Collarbone. I trust that consistency will lead me to greater health and vitality. And under the arms. I am committed to staying consistent and dedicated to my well-being. Taking a deep breath in, checking in with our body, seeing how we're feeling here. Good. So we did 2 rounds of positives. You can do as many rounds as you like. I like to kind of check in the beginning and seeing like, where is that feeling? Like how inconsistent you're feeling on a level of 1 to 10. And then check in as you go through those rounds. Does it lessen? How are you feeling now? So tell me, how did that feel for you?
I loved it. I mean, I think just from even just the verbal aspect of like the affirmations of it, is works. But really the tapping, and I don't even know, I was going to ask you to talk a little further about the science behind that, but it just feels it's like taking those affirmations, but then really connecting it to your body and in tune, like really just tuning into that. And it was so relaxing. I love that part.
Yeah, and I think like what's so easy, you can do it anywhere. You can run to the bathroom and do it. Sometimes like I'll just like tap on, like if I'm doing something, if I'm like anxious about something, I can just tap here. No one can see me under the table, and I'm just saying affirmations in my head, right? Or just kind of like I'm just like kind of here, just like
Yeah.
somewhere in my body. So like no, you can't see you doing it, but you're still doing it. And it kind of goes through like the meridians of acupuncture. If you ever heard of acupuncture,
Mhm.
it's like how we run meridians in our body, the chi runs through us with energy. So there's certain points they have studied that those points correlate to combining with our mind and kind of reprogramming and letting our body kind of, you know, figure out that chi, but the energy run through it. So those specific points, again, you can do them all. That's how they're doing. But if you just do a couple of them and try to run through them, it's also fine. But those points correlate parts of the body that actually help the chi run through the body. So you're able to, bring new energy, connects to your subconscious, and brings those affirmations into life.
Yeah. I feel like I could see myself using that when I'm feeling like I'm at those points where I'm struggling to make the decision I want to make. And I know
Mhm.
it sounds so silly, but like for me, my not my biggest, but one of the struggles that I have is wanting to make like healthy decisions around food that I'm eating like later in the evening. I have like my favorite little like night, like not night, well, nighttime snack. But I know it doesn't serve me to have it every night. It's totally fine to have occasionally. So I could totally see myself like after the girls go to bed, it's like an immediate trigger of like, okay, I'm gonna go sit and watch a show with my husband and I'm gonna have this snack. So I could see myself using it at that time to kind of like move my state of mind, into a different state. So I love
And
how
you
accessible it is.
Yeah, and you can make any statement, right? So you just start with the negative statement of how you're feeling. Like I could feel like I'm stressed out and I want to eat, right? Those sorts of things, and kind of go through that, and then go into your positive statements, like, I'm healthy, or whatever it is, and just kind
Yeah,
of go through it and just say the same things or just mix them up, whatever comes to mind, like checking in with your body. So it's really easy to kind of do at any time, any place, for anything.
I love that.
That's why I love it.
Do you want to share before we share how everyone can connect with you,
Yeah.
if there's any like direction that you want to give for the folks that are using the hypnosis, or will you incorporate that into the recording just so they kind of know what to expect there?
Yeah, so just get the recording, and then you'll get an email like it shows you how to use it. But
Perfect.
just so you know, so I like to use it either before bed or in the morning, just because that's when our subconscious is most open. If you can't, that's totally fine. Just obviously don't use it when you're driving or doing stuff, right? Because you want to be in a relaxed state. So it's about 20 minutes, and really just listening to it. You can totally doze off. It'll still go into your brain, into your subconscious. It's really just kind of, I like to also connect a little bit with visualization with it too, but connecting with it, just letting you listen, and repetition really matters. The subconscious wants to hear things over and over again. I like to say if you can start by 2, 3 times a week, that's great. And just sticking with the same recording or the same thing you want to work on, and do that for a couple weeks, and then check in with yourself and see how you're feeling, and actually see what the changes are. And usually they're pretty subtle, but they kind of make big shifts, right? So like you're kind of doing like, oh, I went for a walk and I didn't even like out of the blue, or I ate this, whatever. And then you're like, I look back like, oh, I reached all those goals, like without even thinking about it. Like my subconscious kind of pushes you to do it, right? It's like, why am I doing these certain things? Now your subconscious is leading you in the right way.
Yeah. I really fell in love with hypnosis because I was someone who was trying to like get into meditating in the sort of traditional sense for a really long time, and I really struggled with it. So for me, having like a guided
Mhm.
um meditation or hypnosis, I really liked, as opposed to just sitting there and like being left alone with my thoughts. And I find that especially with like the ear pods in, it really like helps you tune everything else out. So awesome. I will be sharing that email and recording with everybody. And then before we jump off, if you would just let everyone know, like, I know you're in Florida, part of the year, and then Jersey area part of the year.
Yeah, I'm back in Jersey now for the warm weather
There
here.
you go. But yeah, how people can connect with you. Obviously, I've shared your Instagram, but anything like that and how they can work with you too.
Sure. So you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's just my name, Sabrina_Sarabella. My email, Sabrina@sabrinasarabella.com. Website, same thing. My name, Sabrina Sarabella. So everything's my name. You can find me anywhere. You can reach out, send me a DM. You can have any questions about anything we did. I'm happy to chat about. Again, I take one-on-one clients through this whole thing with nutrition, go through a bunch of like reprogramming. We do like time techniques, as we call it, is like going back into your past and figuring out why we're thinking these sorts of things and clearing those emotions behind them. And then we go ahead like tapping and then figuring out like what are the new things we want to think about and now do so we can actually program in our mind and continue to move on in our life so that we're kind of done with those limiting beliefs and we've moved on for them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and patience with me. I know I was like attempting to do this with you a couple of times and I can't get out of my own way, but I appreciate this. I'm so grateful. I know that some of the women in this community are going to totally love this. And I think from a lot of them, the subconscious reprogramming is new. So I'm really excited for them to start to uncover and like learn more about it. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I would love to hear how they think about it. So let me know, definitely.
Awesome. I'll ask for some responses when I send it out in an email. So thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.